Every leader has experienced a meeting where one voice seems to dominate the discussion. Ideas were presented confidently, questions were answered quickly, and before long the group appeared to be moving towards a decision. On the surface, it looks like an efficient conversation. The team is engaged, opinions are being shared, and progress appears to be happening. Yet appearances can be deceiving because a discussion is not necessarily producing better thinking simply because someone is speaking with confidence. One of the greatest risks in collaborative decision-making is allowing confidence to become a substitute for evidence. But visibility should not be confused with quality. Strong leaders understand that the purpose of discussion is not to discover who can argue most convincingly. It is to uncover the strongest possible solution. Confidence has a powerful effect on group dynamics. A person who speaks early, explains their position clearly, and appears certain can unintentionally influence how everyone else evaluates the discussion. That influence does not necessarily come from expertise, but it comes from perception. Confidence creates the impression that the issue has already been understood, making alternate viewpoints feels less necessary before they have been expressed. As a result, people begin adjusting their own opinions around the strongest voice in the room instead of examining the evidence independently. Some remain silent because they assume their perspective adds little value. Others decide that challenging the apparent consensus is simply not worth the effort. By the time the meeting ends, the group may have an agreement that has been reached. In reality, many people simply stopped contributing. A room full of nodding heads does not automatically indicate a good decision. Agreement can happen because people generally support the idea. It can also happen because questioning it feels uncomfortable, unnecessary, and professionally risky. Those situations look remarkably similar from the outside, yet they produce very different outcomes. Alignment is something different. It exists when people understand the reasoning behind a decision, have an opportunity to examine the alternatives, and are willing to support the chosen direction because they believe it is the strongest opinion. The distinction matters because organizations often confuse silence with commitment. People may leave a meeting without raising objection while privately holding significant concerns that only become visible once implementation begins. Many leaders believe their responsibility is to guide discussions towards quick resolution. Equally important is creating an environment where people have enough space to think before responding. The first answer offered is not always the best one, and the fastest discussion is not always the most productive. Some of the most effective leaders deliberately slow the conversation by asking additional questions before inviting solutions. They ask what assumptions are being made, what evidence is still missing, and what alternative explanations deserve consideration. Those questions challenge the quality of the discussion because they encourage exploration before evaluation. Rather than competing to defend individual opinions, the team begins working together to understand the problems more completely. Leadership is not simply about contributing good ideas. It's about creating conditions where good ideas can emerge from anywhere in the organization. That sometimes means speaking less instead of more. Leaders who immediately express their own opinions can unintentionally influence every contribution that follows. Team members begin adjusting their responses to match what they believe the leader wants to hear. Experienced leaders recognize that their position naturally carries influence. Instead of using that influence to dominate discussion, they use it to encourage participation, invite disagreement, and ensure different perspectives receive genuine consideration. When people know they can disagree respectfully without negative consequences, the quality of decision-making improves dramatically because there is more information in the conversation before conclusions are reached. The best decisions are rarely produced by the loudest voice in the room. They're produced by conversations where evidence matters more than confidence. Different perspectives are genuinely explored, and people feel more able to contribute without being fear of dismissed. Strong leadership is not measured by how quickly a leader provides the answer. It is measured by how effectively they create an environment where the strongest answers have the opportunity to emerge. Comment below. What is the one thing leaders can do to encourage more honest discussions during meetings? Don't forget to hit the like button, the bell for notifications, and subscribe to TIDAL Coach so you can join a community that's redefining what modern leadership looks like. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.